Alright. Hang on. Hang on, ya people. Oh, he's got a butt. Look at that butt. He's got a butt. He's got a butt. One of the downsides of having this system like this is it's a little bit weird. Alright. I'm actually logged into Lotro at the same time in the background. Alright. Aha. We need persist a sound. Boop. Accept. Ah! Cat hair over everything! Ugh. And now there's like static cling on everything as well. Ugh. This is why having sticky tape is always handy. So I'm actually logged into one of my characters in Lotro on Landreval, because Wednesday night is typically the night when the Stores play, and they typically have special guests such as the Mardi Gras Party Band and others. Tonight, the Fleur de Lumière is another band that I'm seeing running around here, as well as some members of Les Beaux Chapeaux and Eluni Lindale. I'm sure I said that super wrong, and actually a member of Monbarden. And this is like a mashup band made, and there's also a member of the Lonely Mountain Band in that band. So good times. So, who else do we have? We have Yvonne Avantgarde, our good friend, who is apparently going to be testing some songs tonight. But in the meantime, we're gonna talk. We're gonna have a discussion about basically the shit that's going on in the gaming and streaming communities. Now today, some folks were calling for a Twitch blackout. Originally I thought this was a really good idea. But then as in most blackouts, boycotts or blackouts, it doesn't really do any good, right? Some boycotts have been known to do some real good, some have not. In the meantime, I'm going to switch away from the game and go to... come on. Come on, you stupid thing. Hi, Wayward Plane. And if you were here earlier, you could tell why I was waiting, because I was watching Cordovan's kiddo blow up ships in World of Warships, and it was fun. So basically, here's what's going on. If you haven't, been fully up on what the big deal is. In the meantime, it's a little bit toasty in here, and yes, I am wearing a hoodie. That's because I stream this way. It's kind of a thing. Anyway, so what has happened is over the past weekend, pretty much, some women started to come forward and write posts basically saying this person or that person either harassed them, sexually harassed them, sexually assaulted them, and yes, we're going to use the word rape because guess what? That's what it is. When you have sex with somebody without their consent, it's fucking rape. No equivocation, no maybe it's this or maybe, no. If she did not agree without duress, it's rape. And I will also say if they or if he did not consent without duress, it's rape. Because most of the stories are coming from women, but there are stories who are coming from men. Also, people of the LGBTQA community, always victimized in these sorts of situations. So, the floodgates have been opened. Story after story has been shared. I wrote 2 blogs about it this weekend. Go to druidsfire.com if you haven't read them yet. They're the first 2 entries. The first one was how I was articulating the simple fact that one of the people listed was an acquaintance or possibly a friend of mine. It depends. I considered the guy a friend. It's very likely he did not reciprocate, and that's fine. That's the nature of friendship. You can always consider people a friend without them reciprocating. That is actually most of my friendships. I'm not fussed about it. So I was dealing with it was something I had mentioned in my first blog. Is like, well, what do you do if one of the accused is a friend? Like, I had been his very first Twitch subscriber when he first got his partnership. This was pre-affiliate days, so no affiliates existed back then. Hi. Hello. See if Kitty would like to say hello. I think he actually likes this chair a lot because he can sit on the back of it more easily, even though he can also sit on the back of the other one. He just likes this one better for some reason. I think it's probably because he can lean right here. Look at this. Oh, look at this butt head. So, an acquaintance of mine by the name of Jesse Quill, ironically, the person I wrote about, Omi Dariani, he actually introduced me to her at the first PAX South, however many years ago. Hi. Hello. You're gonna sit here. You're gonna sit here. Get cuddles and tickles. So it's like, okay, well, this person got accused. I don't know them. This person got accused. I only know their name. This person they're a game dev that people like to play their games. It's like, well, what do you do? Okay? It's like, it's really easy to say, oh, I'm just gonna block this person if it's nobody you really interact with. Like, you may not even know the people making the accusations, or they're not friends of friends. Like, how many how many degrees of separation are we talking about here, right? So, I was pretty much gonna, be quiet and let other people speak because I hadn't witnessed anything that bad in my days. I hadn't been the subject of that sort of behavior in my days, so it wasn't my place to speak, I always thought. But then it's like, well, shit. Omi Dariani was the CEO of Online Performers Group, which was a talent management agency who handled a lot of big-time streamers like CoCarnage, Elohim, Bajira, T-Pain. I don't know if T-Pain said anything about it, and I don't follow T-Pain. I'm not worried about it. That's up to him. So Omid was always in the middle of things. He always had a finger on the pulse of what was going on. He was a wheeler and dealer, right? And hanging out with him in his chat, there's always like this persona of like this sleazy dude. Not like super like sketchy, even though the word sketchy came up in his Twitch chat a lot, generally in reference to other people, and was like, oh yeah, this sounded a little bit sketchy. Well, he always put out this persona of, being slightly sketchy himself. Always talking about, making sexual innuendo, always talk, the chat was a little bit adult. Now, to be fair, there's a husband and wife duo streamers that I am big fans of and am proud to be one of their moderators. When they talk about adult topics, they don't talk about it in a bad way. Like, they just talk, it's like, you could get a better, if you ever wanted to get a proper, healthy sex education, you should watch their channel sometimes. But in the meantime, back to the big chaos. First thing to understand is, some people might use the word drama to talk about it. It's not drama. AG! Hello, Master AG. We're talking serious shit tonight, so I did kind of want some music in the background, even though it's not really the chill kind of music. I just wanted to hang out with friends while I talked. So, thank you for hanging out here and letting me use people's music as background to keep my microphone alive, because for some reason this headset likes to turn off the microphone if the headset itself isn't actually doing anything. So, and Thief Kitty is here to entertain us by being furniture. Look at him. Look at him. Right? Tommy! He's cute. Oh, look at this Tommy. Look at this Tommy. Alright. So, Omid was outed as being a predator. Not just this sketchy dude who talked a lot about alcohol, drank a lot of scotch on screen, and was a wheeler and dealer, right? And the thing is, he always presented this persona of being somebody who was listening to people and wanted to protect the content creators that his company managed in a fashion where they weren't being taken advantage of by sponsors, by game dev companies, to make sure that they got paid for their work, right? And got treated with respect. Because, quite frankly, many game developer companies, their marketing people, the sponsorship companies, do not treat streamers or content creators with any kind of respect. So, it's definitely something to watch out for. And having a management company for the really big time streamers is a good idea. So, and I had personally retweeted a lot of his industry advice. His wife is a PhD, really nice lady. And I don't know how in deep she was to all of this, but so he was accused. I do not personally know the truth of any of the accusations, but based on what I knew from having spent 6 years hanging out with this guy online while he was streaming, or meeting him at events, not getting invited to the Inner Circle stuff, and this has nothing to do with any sort of resentment about not getting invited to the Inner Circle stuff. It's just actually kind of a good thing, because considering what I've heard in the background that I didn't know about, but I kind of suspected, got confirmation from a few folks. I'm not gonna say who or what, it's their stories to tell. It was like, okay, the industry is now taking a hard look at itself. A lot of companies are posting comments saying, you know, we believe the survivors. And for me, I'm going to believe the survivors because I've seen enough, being a lady trying to be a part of gaming in general, and you know, partly in the industry herself. This shit happens, right? I mean, there is story after story where a not straight white dude would be pressured into drinking a lot and therefore be easier to manipulate, be easier to just get a cheap, one night stand with. And this was not just game devs, this wasn't just streamers, there were also industry sponsors. It was really a lot like a situation where it very much reminded me of Hollywood movie producers. I mean, this is thing like when the movie industry was first coming out. It's like, yeah, sleep with me, honey, you'll become a star, that kind of deal. And it's a very similar thing, where women aren't included as without being sexualized. It's kind of like the whole notion of women cause all the drama in big end rating. It's bullshit. Most of the people causing the drama were guys, just in my experience. Direct experience. So a lot of companies are saying, we don't support that. We don't tolerate that. And most of us are kind of skeptically going, yeah. And then names start rolling out the chute, and the floodgates are open. So Twitch has taken a stand, and so that's what the Twitch blackout thing was supposed to be, is to kind of highlight the fact that Twitch has been super fucking ineffective about dealing with this. Female streamers are harassed far more than male streamers, though there are male streamers who are harassed. The black community, persons of color, get harassed far more than the white people. And Twitch really hasn't stepped up to the plate yet. I mean, the president recently posted something. The president of Twitch, I should say. Well, I don't want to hear anything from the president, the predator of the United States. You are so happy, cat. You are a happy boy. Things need to change. And by simply not streaming on a blackout day, there's two things that are really problematical about it. One is the term blackout. Now, the second article I wrote, and this is actually one of the reasons why I changed my mind and decided I was going to stream tonight, because I was originally not going to stream tonight. There's no sticking it to the man sort of thing if I don't stream, because I don't make Twitch that much money. Let's be honest here. I don't have all of my Twitch sub emotes unlocked because I don't have that many subscribers. In fact, when I hit the last milestone, it's because I gifted a shit ton of subs to my own channel because I had the money to do it at the time. And I wanted to, give some thanks to the music community, after winter stock. So, we're hearing more and more promises of change, but here's the thing. Promises mean absolutely nothing unless there's actual action taken. We have been seeing things like, as soon as the allegations about Omid came out, like half of OPG, like half of the big time clients like Co-Carnage, like all the Towley, all those guys just went, we're out. Now, most of them are like, you know what, this is going to hit us financially, but this is the right thing to do. First of all, I don't think that any of them should have said anything about their financials. It's none of our business what their financials are. Because it also taints their message, saying, hey, we're leaving. It's going to be a problem for us, but whatever. They should have stuck to the moral high ground and worried about their financials on their own. That's between them and whoever their eventual manager is going to be. Then we've got allegations against game devs, like Chris Avallone, pretty famous for his work at Obsidian. I don't know where he's working now, and I honestly don't care. And of course, I think it was last year that music composer Jeremy Soules' tortured artist story came out, where he actually apparently told one of his victims that he couldn't create unless she was miserable, or some words to that effect, which is, God, bullshit. So there's a couple things. Good lord, look at all of this cat hair. Sorry. So, what can be done? Because obviously, there's a couple of big things that I think will help immediately. And one is a shift of convention party culture away from being so fueled by booze. Now, I am fairly confident in my assumption that there's also a lot of controlled substances involved. I'm not just talking weed. I personally don't care whether people smoke weed or not, as long as they don't do it around me, mainly because it makes me cough like crazy. But the whole notion that industry parties in general need to be booze parties, that needs to change. My friend Anne LeMay, who now works, I believe, at Ubisoft in Montreal, I think. I met her when she was still part of BioWare. She worked on Star Wars The Old Republic. And is a friend of my sister's. Everybody in the industry apparently is, but that's fine. Gosh, there's so much static on this thing. I'm going to switch back to Lotro for just a second to make sure I don't idle out. There we go. Hey, my friend Miazine's online. Yay. We're also going to pull this. So, we're talking about safety precautions. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Women, particularly at conventions, have already made a habit of going in packs I mean, this is a big joke. It's like, oh, these women go to the bathroom at the same time in packs. Well, we kind of have to protect ourselves. People will basically buy drink after drink after drink for these generally young women, pretty young women, in the hopes of getting them in bed, because, oh my god, you can't keep it in your pants. And that's one of the reasons why the term blackout is not really appropriate for something like this, because when you get so blind, stinking drunk that you black out and you can't remember hours of your day, that's a problem. When this happens frequently, then it's a bigger problem. And I honestly do think that the amount of harassment and the amount of horrific stories that come out of every single convention I've ever been to, every single one, no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter what the topic was, there's always going to be stories later on about somebody being inappropriate, sexually harassing somebody, or a story about a woman being raped. That's unacceptable in this industry. It's unacceptable on Twitch. It's unacceptable at these parties. So, one of the number one things that they can do to help stop this is to stop having booze parties. I mean, yeah, have a little bit here and there. I mean, hell, I'm not teetotal. As I said in my blog, I'm not teetotal. Because if you take away my Dragon Con apple pie, we are gonna fight. I love me my Dragon Con apple pie. But the whole notion that the main reason your party is there is so people can get drunk off their ass, no. That needs to stop. So Anne LeMay had a great idea, and I love it to bits and bits and bits. And that was tea parties. Like, you know, tea parties. I'm looking for a pair of scissors, and I forgot they're in the box down here. Because when I had this built last time, I was doing Lego, I took this apart and put it all back in here. But I taped the box shut, and I probably shouldn't have done that. But I didn't want the pieces going anywhere. So let's see if I actually do not cut myself doing this. There we go. So, part of the issue with these parties at TwitchCon or at DragonCon or wherever is that it's this big-ass ballroom, right, full of so many people, and you can't see a damn thing because the lights are always fairly dim because they basically turn it into a club scene. Hi, Miazine. I know it was Miazine going coochie coochie coo. I know it was. Whoops. So, we need to change. We need to keep an eye out for one another. Not just like women going to the bathroom in packs or guarding each other's drinks. Because even people who normally, like, okay, give your friends your phone number and, you know, check up on them, etc., etc. There are so many things that women, in most particular, again, some men do this too, but it's let's be honest, it's primarily the women who do this as, we do this as a safety measure to protect ourselves, to protect our friends, is we have to assume the worst of people we don't know. So let's say you're at a convention party, there's a shit ton of people there that you don't know. Alright, there may be a couple of people you know by face, but there's generally, for the most part, people you don't know who are there. There's always hugely loud music, unlike the music playing here nicely in the background. Again, dim lights, loud music, you can't hear anybody, so you have to scream to be heard. But what if that party, and it was also generally late at night, so people are really tired from the whole day's convention, right? So what if the party was held during the middle of the day, or in the early evening, so that everybody wanders back to wherever around, you know, sunset or whatever. And there's also those of us who are fucking old. Narcy? Who's Narcy? I don't know who Narcy is. Hi, Candy-chan. How you doing? We're making this one right now. By the way, this is the mask I wear when I go out in public. Wear your fucking masks. Because COVID isn't gone, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Druid's Fire is not Druid's is for Fight, who is, I believe, Narcy. We often get confused. It hasn't happened a lot. It's actually been a while since we got misidentified like that. Alright, we're gonna put this up here. So one of the things that I am happy to see is game companies basically starting to get off their ass and say, we don't put up with this bullshit. We don't tolerate this. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of streamers being accused. We've also now seen a major player, a major employee of Ubisoft just got pointed at, Escoblades. And he was like one of the primary influencer people from their side. Hang on, I need to reply to something real quick. Alright. And I actually have been doom scrolling and reading through story after story after story, and there's definitely some common threads. And mainly there's of course going to be the inevitable reprisal. She could be lying. You know what? And I mean, that's a way to discredit the entire. They're like, well, this one's lying, so they all must be lying. Well, fuck that. All right. Let's. Actually, I'm going to take this book, and I am going to. You have a backlog of Gundams you haven't built? Yes, you should build them. I have a backlog of puzzles that I have actually built all of these. I used to at my desk at work. I also have these two over here that I haven't built yet. And I have a whole big ass stack of them behind me. I don't know if you can see that. Over there. Ah, cat hair. So this one's actually going to be harder because the pieces aren't in boxes anymore, or aren't in bags, so we're going to have to figure this one out. So I'm actually going to spend a moment to do what we call a little bit of knolling, a term that I learned from Adam Savage. Yes, the Mythbusters guy. True story, Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman, the two original Mythbusters, have autographed my D&D dice bag. True story. One time when they were at Dragon Con. So, the industry itself needs to change. And one of the common threads is, why didn't she tell anybody? Why didn't she go to the police? Why didn't she go to HR? I hate to break it to y'all, but HR is not your friend. And I apologize to anybody that I know who works in HR for a company. HR is there to protect the company's ass. They're not there for the employees. They never have been, never gonna be that way. And I speak from my own experiences having to deal with HR when I worked at Time Warner Cable. And there was an employee who was harassing people. I made my complaint. They nodded politely and never heard about it again. So my faith in HR is is a negative number. Basically, HR is there to see what the lawyers have to get involved with, right? To see if they have to worry about getting the legal department involved in an issue. That's just the nature of the beast. And I hate to say that, but it's true. Why didn't they go to the police? Have you seen how many people they're shooting right now? I actually know a couple of cops. Not in real life, actually, they're streamers. And I've watched them stream, I've watched them roleplay in GTA 5 Online, and I believe they are legit the good cops. But there are so many bad cops out there that's like, well, who do you trust? Right? So when they're basically, women are not in general believed to begin with, why are they going to go to the cops? Why are they going to report things when they know nothing's going to happen? And there's actually have been a common thread amongst people in game development where somebody who is being harassed reports it, right? And the person doing the harassment, I mean, they basically eventually just can't take it and they leave, right? The people who reported the problem say, hey, this person is doing, this thing, do something about it. And the company's like, whatever, and they don't do anything. Somebody's sending me a tell in Lotro. And it's like, well, why are you going to believe the company is your friend when they just basically, don't do anything about your accuser, they investigate and they tell you to be quiet. And unfortunately, a lot of times what I've also seen and heard reported by multiple women, and those who are treated so poorly, is they're told not to rock the boat, they'll be taken care of, so and so will be talked to, but nothing happens except, oh hey, the harassers, the abusers get promoted, and the people, it's like, just try to put yourself in the shoes of somebody being harassed for a few moments if you have. Unfortunately, many of us women can just easily imagine what it's like being harassed, because guess what? I can almost guarantee you that every single woman you know has been harassed by somebody, has been sexually assaulted by somebody, has been, followed home, followed back to their hotel room by somebody with ill intentions, shall we say. I can promise you there are stories after stories of women who have reported things and been basically drummed out of the company that they were in because they would then suddenly find themselves being harassed even more. It's like, well, why are you going to report something if you're going to be turned into a pariah, right? And that's a huge, huge problem. And somebody actually did a post today on Twitter, and I really, really liked it. Because one of the reasons why women tend to not get promoted at companies, or the notes that they're given when they're not promoted, is like, oh, she wasn't a culture fit. Whereas the men that harass them get promoted, get the plum assignments, get whatever, and it's like, just imagine if you were there, being the subject of harassment, or somebody raped you or whatever. having to deal with that trauma, and then seeing the person who did it to you being rewarded over and over again, being given promotions, being given fancy titles, being given more responsibilities, given leadership positions. And not only do you not get those things, you get treated like shit by everybody. Like, people start questioning whether you're a fit human being to live. People will tell you to go kill yourself. People will tell you, you know, basically your entire life suddenly goes on display, and anything that you do wrong will be held against you in the court of public opinion. Far more than any gentleman, let's not even call them any predator. They're not gentlemen, they're predators, who committed the act of heinousness. And you have to watch that from the sidelines. I mean, that somebody has treated you so horribly, has violated your very soul, basically, and you get to sit back and watch them be applauded? Oh, fuck that noise and fuck it to high heaven. I'm gonna go check that tell here in a second, as soon as I'm done with this. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things that can be done. Whether companies are willing to do it, we don't know. A lot of companies have been saying stuff like, oh, we're going to, you know, we're going to take a hard look at this. Well, until somebody actually does take a hard look at it and actually does something, basically, as I said in a tweet, replying to Twitch's comments that they plan on, you know, taking a good look at blah, 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 and I basically quoted Jennifer Hale as Ashe from Overwatch and said, Twitch, do something! Because something needs to be done. It's not just a Twitch thing. It's not just, God help the mixer. It's a culture thing that needs to be addressed, and I need to reply to this tweet as well, or this thing. Ding. It's me, Azine, she tickled, so you always have to reply to the tickle. And 2020 has been a shitty year for so many people. I mean, we've got COVID going on. Hello, I have this pretty mask here that I never leave the house without it. If I'm going anywhere other than to mow my lawn, this is on my face. Or it's around my neck as I'm driving, and as soon as I get to where I'm going, where there's other people, I don't care what the law, you know, whether things are open or not. I listen to medical experts, and, you know, I'm going to try to do my best to keep other people safe. That's what I do. I'm a paladin. Alright. We actually put two pieces of Lego together. So I don't have any power to make any change myself beyond speaking out and saying, yes, the accusations against this person I believe to be credible. I'm going to tell you right now, there's probably some of those stories that are going to come out that aren't credible. Not going to lie. But if you take a look at the volume of what's going on and say, oh, they're all lying, then you can fuck right the hell off out of my social circles. I don't want to be around you. Because quite frankly, I apparently can't trust to be around you because you're not believing people. And I don't, honestly, I'm gonna be honest here. Like, I always try to be honest, but all I can tell you is just the pattern of the stories ring true to me for many reasons. I'm not gonna get into all the details, but we all have our traumas. Let's just put it that way. has been more than one person I have almost laid out at a convention because they couldn't keep their hands to themselves. But that's because I'm older and I'm grumpier. But there's a lot of these young women particularly, but also, you know, there's some young men who have these big dreams of, you know, being successful in streaming or in the gaming industry. You've got game developers with massively impressive, hi Thief Kitty, resumes being turned down because they're women. What the fuck, people? And you hear story after story of someone behaving badly, and I'm glad to see that some companies are taking action, right? Building with caltrops? You would wear a mask to mow the lawn? Doug? Mixer is another streaming service similar to Twitch, only it was it was bought out by Microsoft when it was called Beam, and they renamed it Mixer. However, just the other day, they announced, without warning the employees, much less the Mixer partners and whatever, that, oh hey, by the way, we're partnering and we're moving over to Facebook Gaming and shutting Mixer down in 1 month. Hi. Hello. Aww. But yeah, 2017 has been a shitty year for so many people. And it's like the hit after hit after hit keeps hitting, right? And there are so many women speaking out, and I'm so proud of them for having the courage, because there are some women who unfortunately can't speak out for whatever reason, and you know, I honor those folks as well. And I personally would not browbeat somebody for not speaking out. Each individual person's reactions to trauma are different. So while I will commend somebody for being brave and, you know, speaking out, I do not ascribe to the notion that the opposite means that if they cannot speak out, that they are somehow not brave, or, you know, that they are cowardly. It's not a zero-sum equation. But so much needs to change in the gaming industry to make it more welcoming to women, to, you know, non-binary people, to people of color. Black lives do indeed matter. I don't say that as a joke. I firmly believe that, and if you don't believe that, you can get the fuck out of my Twitch channel right now. And if you want to drop some bullshit about all lives matter, you can also get the fuck out of my Twitch channel, because of course all lives matter, you idiots. What we're saying is, for the moment, we're focusing on these lives, because in the past, people were happy and cheerful in denying them that right to matter. So, yeah, the news cycle is shifting. I don't think the mainstream news cycle has really picked up on this industry. It's been called a Me Too moment after, you know, the Hollywood folks had so many women speaking up and using the hashtag Me Too. You know, sexual harassment happened to me as well. And as usual, shitheads are trying to pervert that, because, you know, that's what they do. But it's definitely something that everybody should listen to. I mean, as with any accusation, of course, you know, just because it's said doesn't make it true. And Jessie Quill, in her posts on Medium, in her thread on Twitter, was very adamant in saying, look, I am only posting the ones that are credible. I haven't been able to, you know, identify, you know, or verify all these for sure, but this is what was reported. So there's a lot of, you know, somebody's already trying to do the work of verifying things. Not that you shouldn't do that yourself. But in a lot of cases, I mean, there's already been some documentation. There's you know, witnesses corroborating the stories. Okay, I need another one of these. To me, it's just as simple as like, okay, well, let's make some change actually happen. Can we do that? Yes or no? So I guess we're gonna see. And I don't know, with like all 2020 is throwing at us, it's so much. It's like, how do you keep going? How can you stay on top of this? And I'm speaking from a position of privilege. I'm white. So I don't have to deal with most of the poor behaviors of my fellow white people against black people or people of color, right? I understand that privilege, but I still need to, you know, say something when I see something. And this is actually a perversion of the, you know, you should, you know, say something if you see something. Well, yeah, no duh. In this case, what we're gonna say is, I see you harassing that person. Stop that shit right now. As opposed to being silent. So that's one reason why I decided to stream tonight, is because upon reflection, I didn't feel that being silent was gonna help anybody. Sapiens with the host! Hi, Rick. Mr. I have a really cool soon emote now. A cooler soon emote, by the way, for those of you who subscribe to Sapiens' channel. Hostess with the mostest. So we're having some real talk today, Rick. Feel free to join us if you so desire. Because, I mean, you've probably seen more of the bullshittery going on in the industry and harassment and shit than I have, because you're more in than I am, and that is sometimes okay. Alright, I need 2 of these. And if you want to listen to the music live, as it were, you can go to the Landreval server in Lotro and go to the Prancing Pony in Bree, and that's where Master AG of the Stores is hosting his usual Wednesday night shenanigans. Soon. So what do you think? Yeah, there's a lot that, yeah, you know. You've been there, you've done that. Okay, no, you've been there, you didn't do that. Let me rephrase. That was very bad on my fault. And people, you know, have to be willing to say, oh, I didn't mean that, but actually mean that they didn't mean that, right? It doesn't say, oh, I'm so sorry, don't blame the booze. If you can't behave in public when you're under the influence, put the glass down or get you the fuck away from, you know. Again, I'm not advocating teetotal, I would be very sad to never have Dragon Con apple pie ever again at a convention, particularly Dragon Con. But it's definitely a contributor, right? Ready access. Okay. We're going to shift over to the concept of gun control for a second. I'm a hearty advocate of gun control. Why? Because people are dying in this fucking country more to guns than any other civilized country on this planet. It's a fact. Whether you know, I am also of the opinion that, yes, if you're a responsible gun owner, sure, why not? I grew up in the country. I went hunting. You know? I believe that you should have far more training to own and wield a gun than you should have to be able to drive a car. One of the mixes is expressly made for killing things, the other one is not. So therefore the one that is there for killing things should have more training, more regulation, more etc, etc, etc. Anyway, let's make an analogy. Now that you know my stance on guns, I personally would be happy if they did the Superman 4 Quest for Peace thing and took all of them and threw them in the ocean, or threw them in the sun in this case. But it's not going to fix the underlying problem, right? The underlying problem is guns and alcohol are this pretty much the same thing. Easy access equals bullshittery happening. That's exactly right, Doug, is if you can't be in control of your actions, then you shouldn't be in public. You shouldn't be anywhere where you could harm people. It's that simple. If you can't be safe to drive a car, you shouldn't have access to a car. You shouldn't be in a car. You shouldn't be behind the wheel. You can be a passenger all you like. As long as the person who's driving isn't drunk as fuck or stoned off their ass. Again, I am not anti-weed. I am not anti-alcohol. I am pro using them responsibly and in fucking moderation. Why is moderation important? For first thing is you're not going to get people passed out drunk and in danger to themselves without any harassers or predators nearby. Okay? People waking up in their own vomit is not a cool way to live. And forcing your friends and or family to have to clean up after you when you do that on a regular basis is not cool. And now you know why I don't talk to my mom a lot. Though, to be fair, she's gotten better over the years and now she's got other problems that make me not want to talk to her. But so many people over the years have gotten away with harassing their coworkers, harassing their friends, their acquaintances, the women they want to sleep with, and cheating to get, hello, roofies. I went to college. Roofies were a thing when I went to college. Frat parties were a thing when I went to college. I went to Penn State. It was frequently referred to as Party State University because all of the, well, not all of them, but the vast majority of the fraternities and sororities, or generally the fraternities, had these massive ass parties in their off-campus houses where alcohol was, like, this entire table would be nothing but bottles of booze, and there'd be like 5 tables of these on one floor. And yes, sexual assaults happened frequently. There were reports, and nobody did anything about them. And this was the fucking 90s. Basically, we took that frat party club scene culture, that drinking culture, and transported it into modern times, and we just kept going, and nobody cared. And when you report bad behavior, nobody did anything. So it's like, why report when nobody's going to do anything about it? Well, now it's time for people to start doing something about it. Fire people who are accused. Let them figure it out for them in the courts of law whether they're innocent or not. Get them away from your brand. Apologize. And I don't mean, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. No. If the person you harassed, abused, raped, whatever, says, these are my boundaries, you just fucking respect. If they tell you, just leave me the fuck alone, don't say a goddamn word to me, you go someplace else. You do exactly that. Some maundering, oh, I didn't mean to, or people who use alcohol or drugs as a coping mechanism for their own stress and drama of their lives, not an excuse. I did something bad because I was drunk, and I was drunk because my life is so shit. I'm unemployed right now. I'm living off my savings until I can find another job. And guess what? The world's on flaming pile of piss right now. But you're not seeing me go out there and harassing people. You don't see me go out there raping people. You don't see me blaming something else other than myself for my own problems. Except my mom. So, people need to take more responsibility for themselves and their actions. And we need to get the ready access of alcohol severely limited at company parties. Whether it's a game company having their own Christmas party, or it's an industry adjacent company holding a big party at PAX. Bring tea and cakes! I'll be there! I will totally be there for tea and cake. You're going to get yourself a more civilized party. You're not going to have your lawyers deal with the consequences when somebody makes a police report. Because right now, because of movements like this, people are becoming more and more willing to report bullshit. And that's a good thing. So basically, if your people or you yourself are a person who, or a company that can't keep an eye out for your people not winding up on a police report, then make sure that you don't have those people around there. Ooh. And shrimp and prime rib. Ooh! AG has a great idea. Shrimp and prime rib at... Ooh, yeah. I like that. So, I personally... And get rid of the DJs. I mean, like we're having our good friends like AG and his wonderful weekly event, his round robin event here, providing music for us, because I asked them if it was okay if I streamed the music while I talked and built and stuff. Having these events to where it's not just booze with like nowhere to sit. That's another thing I brought up in my blog about drinking culture, is this club scene is generally not fond of having places for people to sit down. Because you're cramming so many people into this hot, sweaty, dimly lit, but strobe light and loud DJ, this whole club scene. And A, you can't see who the fuck you're talking to. You might get their business card, you may remember them later if they haven't roofied you, or both of you didn't get drunk off your ass. You can't pitch your ideas for a game or a system for a game if everybody's drunk. Nobody's gonna remember that shit later, right? I know somebody who doesn't drink and he can't remember something he did last week. No word, Sapiens, you know who I'm talking about. But by having these it's not like you can't have alcohol at these parties. Maybe like something like a little wine with your cheese. Cheese parties are a good idea. But having no seating is a bad idea. Having low lights is a bad idea because there is accessibility options. Because part of the other issue of these parties is that they are frequently used for networking opportunities. Like, people notice when you don't go to the parties. Or they notice when you're not drinking at the parties. Or, you get introduced to like 5 million people at this party, and then you suddenly remember, oh hey, that was that person I was talking to over in the corner. You might remember them, and it might trigger something, and you might reach out to them because, hey, you do have their business card. Because you're not drunk off your ass or stoned off your ass or... Because if you're going to sit here and tell me that there aren't more controlled substances at these parties than simply weed, I'm gonna call you a liar to your face. Because I personally have not witnessed it. I will acknowledge that. However, the culture is exactly the same as the bullshit I saw in college. And I do know for a fact there were controlled substances like cocaine and whatnot at those parties. And I don't know. Actually, I do know how it is if you don't drink or can't drink, even if you wanted to. And there's so many legitimate reasons why you may not want to drink. My number one reason is I want to remain in control of my faculties. When I was in college, even before I had a driver's license, I was always the designated driver because everybody pretty much knew I wasn't going to drink. Because when I was in high school, a friend of mine got killed by a drunk driver, so I was like, I'm not going to ever drink. And so when you're in the situation where you are always going to be the designated driver, even if you're not legal to drive, it's better than having somebody. To me, in my mind's eye, it was always better for me to be the designated driver because I did know how to drive. And I wanted to make sure everybody got home safely, and I wanted to make sure that one of my friends who was drinking didn't wind up making a mistake that harmed somebody else. You know, that song from Genesis from the 90s, from their album The Way We Walk the Long, there's this long song about basically somebody hitting somebody, like a hit and run accident. I don't remember offhand if the song lyrics referred to alcohol being a factor, but the actual trauma to the driver once they sober up and realize they just killed somebody or, you know, some family or whatever, like, oh, we hit 3 pedestrians. Like, I don't want one of my friends doing pedestrian polo because they were drunk. That's not a game you want to win. Okay, so all throughout my college life, throughout the 90s, once I graduated, you know, moving here to Cincinnati, and anytime I went to a convention, and I've been to a lot of them, I would be the person who would always drink the Coke. Rick can attest to this. Anytime our friend Linda is buying social drinks for friends, and again, they're not drunk, they're a drink or two is not a bad thing. I would always get a Coke, and that's been a running gag, right? I don't want somebody to be in that position of, you know, they drank too much and they killed somebody. So I have been the person to drive people home. I have been the person to knock people down when they were insisting on driving. I'm like, no, you can't leave. Here, give me your keys. Lie down here on the couch. It'll be fine. I'll put a blanket over you. And if they are insistent and try to drink and drive, I have knocked people down. I have taken their keys and technically committed assault. On the other hand, they also didn't kill anybody with their car. So that's something that's a bridge or a hill I was willing to die on, as it were. And it worked out so far. Nobody's pressed charges. In fact, at BlizzCon one year, I basically rescued a Blizzard developer from going drunk driving, and we made them stay in my hotel room so they wouldn't go anywhere. Kept an eye on them. It was fine. A former Blizzard developer, I should say. They don't work there anymore. Because, guess what? Let's talk about Blizzard for a second. Blizzard has been a steaming, flaming pile of poo behind the scenes. I like Blizzard games. Hell, I was playing World of Warcraft last night with Devilor, the guy who is the one who interacts with all of their content creators and whatnot, like Towley and Salutebag and all those guys, and Asmongold. Really good friend. We have a running gag of how I saved his life at one BlizzCon. It was a dumb little story, but where was I going with this? He is one of the good people there at Blizzard. And I know so many people who work there who are amazing people, wonderful creators. They live the ideal version of Blizzard that we like to think of in terms of like Disneyland. Disneyland likes to say we're the happiest place on earth. That's a lie. That's the veneer. That's the ideal. Blizzard isn't like that on the inside. There's like people. There was a recent thing where like a former employee was one of the 800 laid off, and like her husband was like, because she spoke out against it, her husband was blacklisted from being at some events, even though he was a pro player of Hearthstone or whatever. And yeah, that didn't go down well. And things were fixed, but so much bullshit happened. And companies have to stop being that way to people. Companies have to treat people better. Whether it's the influencers or content creators they work with, former employees. You know what? If a former employee talks some smack and is going to be critical about a hiring decision, then I have not been overly kind about Time Warner Cable / Charter after I left because they treated us like shit. Free cable, free internet doesn't help you when you're put under mandatory overtime, or people ignore harassment complaints or stuff like that, right? Hi, kitty. What's the matter, Thiefy? So, I will support the company financially. They have mishandled things many times. Hong Kong, hello. But I also have hope they can do better. Because quite frankly, there really hasn't... I don't think there's really going to be much of a way to impact them in the pocketbook, which is where things really need to change. But I think some of the culture is changing. There are still good people there who are trying to do good things. And that's pretty much the same as with any of these game companies. There are good people at all of them. And they are trying to make things better. So, as much as a couple that I love to bits and bits like to bash Blizzard, I will call them out on bullshit. But I also want to honor those people that I know who work there, who had nothing to do with it, and they're not just making a paycheck. They honestly believe in the work that they're doing, and they're not the ones who are doing any chicanery, and they speak out. And it's a tough place for all of us to be in. But mostly for the folks who are treated poorly and need support. So I have actually been talking for an hour and change about terrible things. And I will probably speak more on terrible things. Where is the piece I'm looking for? These? Yes, these. Quite frankly, it has given me something of a headache. Go figure. But if we don't speak out and accidentally turn our USB light off. So 2 of those. Oh, they go here. If we don't speak out, then nothing's going to happen. And that's one of the reasons why I chose to stream today, is because it was, for me, it was never a question of, oh, we're going to hit them where it counts. Again, I'm not making Twitch a hell of a lot of money. So my disapproval... Whoa, hello. My disapproval there doesn't really do much. I'm not too fussed about that. But I figured we could at least, you know, speak about what we believe in, and I believe in people not being harassers. Because one of the other things that I see fairly often is that people want to blame the victims, the survivors, I should say, of these horrific events. And I'm like, why are we blaming them for what happened? It's like, oh, she was drinking. So, maybe if the dude hadn't put any, you know, hadn't roofied her, maybe she, you know, would still be awake and would be aware of her surroundings. Maybe if the guy hadn't, you know, pushed drink after drink after drink at her. And if the guy hadn't, you know, if the guy hadn't actually, oh, I don't know, taken no for an answer. Or maybe, you know, just try not to spend your time trying to get laid at cons, you know? That would be nice. Because when you put sex into the equation, everything gets weird. And, I mean, there's people who go to conventions for work, and they're trying to work and get work done. And having sex as part of your work equation, unless you're a sex worker, is never a good thing. We're almost done with this one. It makes things very uncomfortable. So tomorrow there will be no stream because it's Thursday, and you should all go hang out at Sapiens' stream because he will be streaming some streamings. We'll be doing some Lord of the Rings online on the Ithel server, and I will be there causing trouble as usual. And there we go. All these other pieces are not used for this build. So we had some real talk. And I like to think that the folks who are actually watching, I mean the folks I've seen in chat, are good people. What I perceive to be good people. Yep. Kinda want this shark one. I definitely want the space shuttle one as well. So that is set number 2 out of 3 for this. And honestly, I don't really care too much for the robot. So we're not going to build the robot. But we still have about an hour and a half left to go. So I figured we might start work on this bad boy. And we'll work on the main set here. I think that'll be fun. But first of all, I gotta tear this thing down, because unlike Rick, I don't have 50 million places to put Lego, completed Lego sets. So, we're gonna carefully tear this thing down. Gonna try to put the small pieces in this bag, which, you know, always goes very well. I also need to jiggle the mouse in Lotro so we don't time out and lose our music. And just as I said that, like, the song ended, I'm like, what? What? There we go. Ow! Ow! Alright, so none of those are really small. I mean, these are, but you put these in. And this is where you probably have good use of a brick separator. Guess what? My brick separator is in the Overwatch box, because this set didn't come with a brick separator. Hmm. Alright, let's be careful and tear this apart. So there we go. I like this. There is some kind of... It does remind me of the A-Wing. It does remind me of the Star Wars A-Wing fighter. A little bit. I mean, these two things right here. And the overall design like this, even though the A-Wing is more like this. But yeah, it does. Alright, let's get this thing torn down. Fifi? What you doing, kitty? And one of the things I want to be careful about is not just throwing things down on the table. I want to be very careful about this, so things don't go bouncing and flying. So later tonight, after the stream, I will be hopping into DDO and playing some Hardcore League. And then probably super late, closer to dawn, I'm going to be hopping into Lotro on the Bombadil PvP server and going to continue working on some more rewards there. The other night I did actually wind up getting my my blue cloak for being Team Elro here on that character. On my Hobbit Burglar. However, my Bjorning... Here's how I know that Bjornings are OP, by the way, in Lotro. Is my Bjorning is almost literally using starter gear. She's level 20. I got Undying on that character because I cheated. She's not yet flagged for PvP because I haven't picked an elf yet. She'll go Team Eladan to be, get the red cloak. But... I leveled her because the Bilbo's birthday thing was up, and there's like a whole level and a half of XP you can get at low levels in that. So the only risk I took with her is trying to get her to Rivendell a couple of times without dying, and that was fairly easy, even though I did get hit by a couple things. But here's the thing, is a level 20 Bjorning wearing level 5 starter gear for the most part, I was beating orange mobs, like level 23 goblins and wargs and boars and whatnot. Again, with starter gear. In Yellow Line Bjorning, hello, that's OP as fuck. So right now I'm debating is, do I want to finish, get some more levels in? Or should I pick an elf boy, get flagged for PvP, and go back to start doing deeds? Because here's the thing, is the event's only open for a month. And there's a couple of titles that I want to get. I'm not really too fussed about the, I haven't seen them, quite frankly. The character portraits, but I do want to get, the Favored by Elrond title, which would take 150 deeds to get done. And so the longer I put off starting deeding, the longer it's going to take. So I figure if a level 20 Bjorning can survive level 23 mobs fairly easily, then I should be okay to start deeding. And I'm just going to go back. My plan is to go back to the Shire and Breeland, because one of the concerns I have right now is I'm only doing enough killing to complete quests that the Forsaken Inn, but I'm not turning the quests in yet. I'm just killing the animals. I just don't want to wind up accidentally completing a deed before I unlock the ability to get credit for doing the deeds, as it were. So I think at level 20, and plus also I want to start getting gear, so that if I do start getting ganked, I can at least do so, you know, at least I'll have some decent gear to avoid getting ganked, maybe. One of the benefits of being on the Hobbit Burglar is, hello, stealth. I completed a couple of fellowship quests, like the one to find Prunella's umbrella. I was able to go through that entire area where all the goblins are without getting killed. And not having to fight any of them. And that's a fellowship quest, or a small fellowship at least. So I was able to do all that on the Hobbit Burglar, and the Hobbit Burglar already has the 25 deeds in to get the Elladan, I'm sorry, the Elrohir cloak. So the Hobbit Burglar only has 25, has 125 deeds left to do. So no. I'm actually going to take my coat off, or my hoodie off here in a minute. Yeah, Thief isn't on the back of my chair. Let's do that. Because why? It's toasty in here. It's toasty. It actually got warmer in here since I've been up here, which is unusual. It's actually been pretty cool today, which is why I decided to do a Lego stream. I probably won't be able to do a Lego stream for the rest of the summer because it gets so fucking hot up in here. I don't have an air conditioner in the window per se. There is central air, but not much of it gets into this room for some reason. So this room is, even with the ceiling fan on right behind me, it's still pretty toasty. So after the stream, I am going to go get ice cream. And I'll be going to watch my friends the Breviks as they stream, which will be always fun. I love watching those folks. Again, if you want to learn a proper sex education without it being like scummy Cards Against Humanity session, then you definitely want to go to their channel. Which is twitch.tv/thejunglequeen. Now, here's what I do to make sure I don't lose any pieces. I just tape that shit shut. Alright, so let's open the next box. This one we're gonna have, wait, what? Sapience is live. You know what we can do? You know what we could do instead is we can go raid Sapience. How dare he stream on Wednesday night? What do you think, kids? You want to go raid Sapience? Because he started streaming, how long ago was it? How long ago was that? Oh, he's doing a co-stream with Aussie Wheels. Oh. Well, should we go raid Sapience and go hang out with them? Because I'm actually supposed to be moderating that chat. Surprise. Or do you want to start work on this for another hour and 45 minutes or so? Scissors. Hello, Scissors. Yeah, well, I think we can start with the chat for a little bit. It'll be fun. Go raid? You just want me to come actually dance in your concert. I know what you're doing. I see what you're doing there. So I'm gonna at least open the box. Alright, let's go raid Sapience. Yeah, he should have told me these things. Helps if you tell your mod team that you're doing. Mod team, there's like 3 of us. Guilty, but still. Caught you, AG. I totally caught you. This is pretty. Oh, there's stickers. Ooh, racing bird. There's a bird. Bird is the word. This one has a big, thick book. Look how thick that book is. Okay, Ken is obviously playing right now. It sounds like a Ken song. Let me go see. Let me go see. Don't tell me. I lied. It wasn't Ken. It is Ministar, actually, isn't it? Yeah. Bright Star. Yeah, this is gonna take more than just an hour and change, so we're gonna save this for later. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so this will be our, whenever I build Lego again, this will be the build. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go where it's nicer and cooler, and we're gonna go hang out. So let's go raid Mr. Sapiens. Orly is playing, yeah. Type stuff in chat. And if you are a sub to Sapiens, drop the Soons in there. I made him a new Soon last night. It's so cool. So thank y'all for being here. Thank you for listening to me rant. I'm not going to say it was whining because it really, if you thought it was whining, I'm not. But we need to make systemic changes to the gaming industry, to parties at gaming industry events, at Twitch, or any streamer sort of venue. Basically, let's lessen the opportunity for predators, but also stop predators. Say something if you see somebody who needs to be dealt with by security or the police. And believe the survivors. You can keep some doubt in your mind if you're not sure, if you don't know the people involved, but and of course we live in a culture where it's like they're innocent until proven guilty. Well, that's the thing that predators have been relying upon. It's okay to trust but verify later. You don't have to tell somebody, oh hey, I don't believe you. Well, where's your proof? Where's your receipts? Don't be that dick. If you're not directly involved in the situation, just and you doubt, just kind of, just nod to yourself and let them deal with it in their own time. So, thank you for being here. I'm going to let the music in the background. I'm going to have to actually shut the game down because this is my laptop and I need to go downstairs where my actual gaming rig is to dance with everybody. So I'll be back in a little bit. AG, tell everybody I'll be back. But I do need to actually turn the sound off so I can play my outro, because that's gotta happen, because I commissioned this beautiful piece of music from his Wayward, the Wayward Plane. So, Lotro, come here. Oh, just as air is gonna sink? God damn it. Okay. Okay, I'll be right back in game. In the meantime, let me shut the game down abruptly, so people won't care if I'm there or not. So, I will talk to you in a little bit. I got an outro. There it goes. Boop. Where's the music? No music. Oh no. Oh well.